Oh,
We should do that. That'd be actually.
yeah. The problem is we might get kicked off YouTube if I start ranting. We might get deplatformed.
What up, and welcome to the Rival Fantasy Podcast. This is for the Fantasy Baseball Show. I am Neil. That is Brian. What's up, Brian?
Not too much, man. How are you doing, Neil?
Doing good, man. Doing good. A little chaos at the house, but doing good otherwise.
Yeah, tis the season.
Yes, absolutely. But we're here to talk about baseball, man. And
Yeah,
the baseball season is going good. That's going good.
It's just like every week it just seems to get better and better. It's been a really great season so far, and it's good to be back. It feels like we just got going, but somehow we are on week 7.
Yeah, it's been crazy, eventful, positives, negatives, a little bit of everything. So we'll get into it all. We'll get into everything. We'll start with one of our favorite segments, the Rivals of the Week.
Of the week.
All right, so we'll start with the hitters, and there's no hitter more deserving, I feel like, at this point, than Mr. Shohei Ohtani himself.
It feels like we just kind of stopped talking about him after the gambling thing. And I don't know why, because he's batting like it's something absurd. It's like 330 something. Like he's batting well over 300. Last week, 11 hits, 3 home runs, 7 ribbies, scored 6 runs, stole 2 bases. So on Rival, that was good for 84 fantasy points, which was absolutely a top performer. And I mean, nobody's shocked. Like,
no.
I mean, Shohei, when he's on. He is maybe the best pure hitter in the game. And he proves time and time again why the Dodgers paid him what they did.
Yeah. I think if I was looking correctly, he had one of the most hits of the week last week, or the last 7 days, or maybe like second or somewhere around there.
It's up there.
So he just killed it. And like you said, you mentioned those stats. I mean, all around. So it wasn't like just one area. He's doing everything. Yep. And just imagine if he was still pitching, man, right now. You know what I mean? Like this.
I have the hot take that I think he's better when he's doing one or the other. Like it's kind of anecdotal. I'd have to look at the numbers, but I'm pretty sure the games where he both hit and pitched pretty bad performances, like on the whole,
right,
when he's hitting. So I'm not saying I don't want him to hit or to pitch ever again, but it would be kind of interesting to see him play right field or be a full-time DH. I don't know. There's something to it, maybe.
You wouldn't be mad at
I wouldn't hate it. No, not at all.
All right. Next guy on the list, Christopher Morel. And I feel like before we get into it, I feel like there's a lot of Chicago players on the list today. So Chicago had a good week last week.
Chicago had a great week. They look really good. They played a division rival. They played the Brewers very well. And, Christopher Morel, he kind of just gets lost in the sauce because, you've got Dansby, you've got Pete Crow Armstrong, you've got Mike Tauchman kind of blowing things up right now. And then their pitching's been really surprisingly good. But yeah, no, Morel had 6 hits, 4 home runs, which was good for 9 RBIs. He scored 4 times, and then he also swiped 2 bags. So that was good for 78 fantasy points on Rival, which if you had him in any best ball or weeklies, I mean, he definitely took you to the next level.
Yeah. Just barely edged out by Shohei. Just barely.
Yeah. But I mean, still, the fact that you could put Chris Morel in the same conversation as Shohei is pretty nice. Good for him. The guy, it feels like he's been on the Cubs forever. So good.
And he has a lot of flexibility, right? Lineup wise, like position wise.
Yeah. He can play multiple infield positions. I think he's even played in the outfield a few times. So I think he's, comments might come from me. I think he's primarily second base, third base. I have to look it up. I might be getting him confused with. No, he's center fielder, but he's been playing third base. Like, he's kind of all over the map. So, that's why the Cubs like him. The Cubs have a penchant for picking up guys who can move around the field quite a bit, unless you're Dansby Swanson, right? So, it's good to see him performing in that lineup, especially given the flexibility he gives them.
Yeah. Now, the third guy here on the list, we actually have 2 athletics on the Rivals of the Week, which is kind of crazy. One is an honorable mention, but still 2 athletics, Brian. Like, shout out to them. I mean, shout out to the athletics. This gentleman is Brent Rooker.
Brent Rooker, man, the left fielder, he's just been absolutely smacking the ball. 7 hits, 3 homers last week, which was good for 7 ribbies. He scored 6 times, and he also stole a base. So that performance was also good for 78 fantasy points. So he and Christopher Morel kind of tied there. But yeah, man, I saw a great meme. I don't remember who it is, so I'm sorry if you see this and I'm not giving you credit, but somebody posted how the Athletics season this year is like a carbon copy of the movie Major League. An owner who wants to relocate the team gets it's just a bunch of misfits and kind of left for dead guys, and then they just start winning games and the crowds come back, right? So good to see Brent Rooker making a splash for the Athletics because they deserve it.
Yeah, teams like that are kind of fun to root for. They're like this underdog, spirit to them. All right, so those were the 3 guys who made the Rivals of the Week a hitter, but we have some honorable mentions because we want to squeeze some other guys in.
Yep.
Not so surprising name, Bobby Witt Jr. made the list. He has 8 runs, 3 stolen bases on 8 hits, so pretty solid week for Bobby.
Yep, just like Ellie, you could probably put him on here every week. And
yep. I actually took Ellie off this week for him. I had to mix it up a little bit, even
mix it up just a touch.
Exactly. The other Oakland player that I was talking about, JJ, 6 hits, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, 3 runs, out there crushing it.
Yeah, what's in the water in Oakland right now?
I don't know, man.
Love to see it.
Jurickson, Profar.
Another guy kind of left for dead, right? Like
hopefully I didn't slaughter the name.
No, yeah, Jurickson Profar, you're right. 12 hits, 2 homers, 5 ribbies, 5 runs, stole a base. I mean, I get he's one of those guys, especially we'll talk about it in the news, but with the Luis Arraez trade, right? Like Profar just keeps getting lost in the sauce again, right? And the disrespect I think needs to end because he's a stud.
Getting on the Rivals of the Week as an honorable mention is the beginning of that.
Love to see it.
And the last hitter that we got here on the list is Garcia from Washington. 9 hits, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, 4 runs, and a stolen base. So these guys, I mean, they all made the list. I mean, if we look around at their, at their stats, they kind of, hit their mark everywhere. You know what I mean? Stolen bases across the board, a couple of home runs for all of them, spreading out the RBIs. I mean, it was a pretty productive week.
Yeah, these are guys who are filling the stat sheet. They're good for you in roto leagues just as well as points leagues. So that's what you're looking for. You want guys who can kind of just transcend whatever your scoring system is in your league, and these guys are doing it.
Yeah, for sure. So shout out again to all the Rivals of the Week. Now we're gonna move down to the pitchers, though. The pitchers deserve some love, Brian.
They do.
We'll start with I think the only 2-win pitcher last week.
I think so. I think
Dean Kremer.
Right. Yeah, Dean Kremer for the Orioles, 2 wins, sub 1.4 ERA through 10 strikeouts. Again, I think I say it every week now. I might as well just put it on a t-shirt, but it's like the rich get richer, dude. Like the Orioles, and we'll talk about them again later. But they keep finding ways to fill holes and to like deal with injuries. And this is what happens when you have a really deep farm system and you develop talent. So yeah, Dean Kremer just good for the Orioles since Grayson Rodriguez is on the shelf with his shoulder injury.
Yeah,
this is good for their rotation. They can breathe a little bit more with Kremer performing like this.
Absolutely. Our number 2 guy on here is John Gray, Rangers. 1 win again. Kremer was the only 2-win guy, so 1 win, 1.8 ERA, 10 strikeouts. Not too bad.
No, pretty good. Good for 45.7 points on Rivals. So. But no, the John Gray does this where he has like 1 good start every 5 to 10, right? And then he'll show up and then he'll disappear again for a little while. No disrespect to John Gray. I grew up in Colorado, grew up watching him. He's a great athlete, but yeah. And again, the Rangers need this too, because they're good getting shellacked by the injury bug. So good to see John Gray emerge as a streaming option for you.
Absolutely. And then a gentleman who was on your waiver wire last week. Last guy, we talked about him on the show. You had him in your article. Jameson. Jameson made the Rivals of the Week, Brian.
Rivals of the Week, baby. Jameson Taillon. I said it last week. I think that he's one of those guys. He's got the pedigree. The Cubs know how to get the most out of their pitchers this year, at least. 1 win. 0.68 ERA for 8 strikeouts. So, 29.1 fantasy points. Only had 1 start last week, but still well worth being mentioned in this conversation. I'll take the victory lap on this in a weekly capacity.
Absolutely. And then some honorable mentions quickly. Nick Lodolo. We talked about him also last week. He was a 2-star pitcher last week.
He was a 2-star pitcher last week.
Yeah. So he got 1 win out of it. He had 17 strikeouts though across the 2 games. So really solid week still.
Yep.
Garrett, Crochet, Chicago White Sox. I told you Chicago's getting some love on here, man.
Yeah, man. It's good to see.
Yeah, 13 strikeouts. And then Quantrill.
Quantrill making an appearance as he does. He is wants to do every like 2 months of the season. He'll just pop up, say hey, and then he'll dip for another 6 weeks. So
out of those guys that we mentioned for the Rivals of the Week, which one of these pitchers is the most surprising for you to see on there?
I think I'm pleasantly surprised by Garrett Crochet purely because he's continued to do it. With a questionable lineup behind him, as far as the offense is concerned, it's good to see that I'm not going to say he's matchup proof yet because we still got a small enough sample size, but he's going out there and doing it every time he's on the bump.
Yeah. Shout out to him, man. Shout out to Crochet. All right. That looks like we covered our Rivals of the Week. We we knocked the hitters out. We knocked the pitchers out. We knocked the honorable mentions out. Again, shout out to all those fine gentlemen for a great week of fantasy. I'm sure you helped a lot of the viewers. You helped a lot of us win our games, win our challenges, win all those things. So shout out to them. All right, let's move over to news and injuries. We have lots of news to cover, man. Lots of news to cover. And where else to start with Mike Trout, unfortunately.
Man, just dang it. I mean, that's all you can say. It's such a bummer. Mike Trout tore his meniscus. He didn't even really realize it. It sounded like it happened mid-game. He was running the base paths, felt some discomfort, had his MRI done. So he had successful surgery last week on the 3rd of May. So I think that was Friday. Doesn't sound like he's going to be out for the rest of the year. Don't really know what the timetable is. I would guess 8 weeks or so, 6 to 8 weeks if history serves correctly. So, and I don't know, you probably saw it on Twitter, or X, sorry, whatever we're going to call it now. But he was pretty emotional when the reporters asked him about it, and you could tell he's extremely frustrated. He wants to win. He wants to win in LA.
That's like the big bummer of it, right? Like everyone keeps I feel like every offseason people want him to be traded, go somewhere else. Where can he go next? And then Shohei left, and it's like, is Mike Trout really going to stick around? And he's like, I'm sticking around, man. Like he's one of those guys, which it feels like it's becoming more and more rare who like actually wants to win where he's at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you think Mike Trout has too much honor for his own good. Almost, it's like, yes, he wants to win. He signed a contract because he wants to be there, and like his honor is outweighing his desire to win. Almost, it seems like. So, yeah, man, it's upsetting when a guy who is was in the conversation for greatest of all time. This is what 3 or 4 years in a row with injuries. So man, it's just now is the question of like, is he even worth trading for? Is he now quote unquote injury prone? Does his his kind of vigor for running, and he kind of goes all out on every play, is that contributing to him being hurt all the time? Just a real bummer, but there are some good implications for this, I guess, as far as fantasy goes. Right. So you have, I think Joe Adell is going to stick now for sure. And then Taylor Ward is probably going to keep moving up that lineup. I think he's hitting 3rd now. He doesn't have as much protection, obviously, but it gives room for Joe Adell to probably move up in the order if he keeps performing.
Yeah. Joe Adell, man. I mean, we talked about him last week. Clearly this, is an opportunity for him to step up. Will he do it? Will he be the hero, if you will, this time around? We'll see. I mean, it's tough, right? Like you can't really fill Mike Trout's shoes, but
no. And this is just another example of like, yes, he's almost definitely a Hall of Famer, but like you have your Dustin Pedroias, your David Wrights, other sports like Derrick Rose, Percy Harvin, right? Like what could have been if these guys were healthy every year or only had 1 or 2 injuries. And I know that's not a perfect 1-to-1, but it sucks because there's a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda here.
Yeah, and as a Mets fan, they are right. I understand what Angel fans are feeling like right now. It sucks. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how
he'll bounce back. He always bounces back.
Yeah,
and it's just you got him at a discount in best ball. You probably got him at a discount in most of your redrafts, right? So The good news is you weren't relying on him to provide you first round value. If you can find a silver lining for this, as far as fantasy is concerned, that's probably the best I can find.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, bummer. We wish him the best and hopefully bounces back
safe and speedy
better.
recovery.
Yeah. There are a bunch of other injuries happening too. It ain't just Mike Trout. Mike Trout ain't the only one dealing with it. Lots of hamstring injuries.
Yeah, I went through the injury report over the weekend and this morning, and it seemed like every other injury was a hamstring, which is kind of nuts. So, if it's not elbow inflammation for pitchers, it's hamstrings now. So, Stephen Kwan, outfielder for the Guardians, 10-day IL with hamstring tightness. Trey Turner, hamstring strain, 10-day. Wyatt Langford for the Rangers, 10-day with a hamstring strain. Evan Phillips, the pitcher for the Dodgers, 15-day with the hamstring strain. So it looks like this injury has become sort of position agnostic now.
Yep.
It's shortstops, it's outfielders, it's pitchers. I mean, shoot, we saw opening night when Justin Steele went down with a hamstring injury. This has been a thing. I don't think it's a trend, but it's ironic to see all of these guys going down the same week with hammies.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I mean, Trey Turner, obviously a great player. Stephen Kwan was tearing it up. He was doing he was hot lately, man.
Yeah, maybe the best table setter in the MLB right now. You could make a case for it. Sorry, Luis Arraez, but I would make the case for Stephen Kwan right now. Dude doesn't strike out. I mean, he puts the ball in play and good things happen.
I was for sure sneaking him into my utility spot in best ball drafts.
Yeah.
I'm like, easy. No one's thinking about him. I'm throwing him in there. He's my, go-to. And here we are.
Yeah. So, but it does open up opportunity for guys we'll talk about later, who are getting called up and getting a shot for the Guardians.
Yeah. Never mad at that, I guess, but unfortunate the way.
Try to find the silver lining as far as fantasy is concerned, right? Obviously we're trying, we know these guys are humans and we obviously wish them a speedy recovery, but for fantasy purposes, we have to think next man up. Yep. What does this mean for your lineups? We're not trying to be insensitive. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. And also you mentioned Justin Steele. I think he pitches today.
He does. He starts today. He does. So I'm starting him with confidence everywhere.
Yeah, I feel good about him. All right, and some pitcher injuries. These are a little all over the place, not hamstring stuff, but you got Nathan Eovaldi, 15-day IL.
Yep, he left his start last week with groin tightness, so I believe it was on his plant leg, so on his left leg. So that's tough. So it sounds like he'll probably do a minimum stint, but groin injuries are never good for starting pitchers.
No. And then Joe Musgrove, man.
Yeah, he
unfortunately 15-day IL too, I think.
Yep, with elbow inflammation in his throwing elbow, always a little scary. So it sounds like he'll probably have an MRI this week once a little bit of the swelling goes down. So keep an eye on that. Just not good for a Padres team that needs pitching, especially when Musgrove is one of their top guys. So that sucks, and just keep an eye on it. See what the news comes out as later this week.
Yep. And then one more guy, Steven Matz, another farm Met. I'm always going to throw the farm Met caveat out there. He hasn't been that great this year, but still he's hurt.
No, he hasn't. And the reason I put him on here is more to see how the Cardinals respond to it. Is this now an opening for Matthew Liberatore to come up and try to make a case to stick it on the major league squad? What are they going to do to kind of replace Steven Matz? They paid him a lot of money, which is kind of why he's sticking around. Him being Steven Matz, the Cardinals paid him, I think it's like a 4-year, $44 million deal or something. Yeah. And this is only the second year of that deal. So it's more just an interesting storyline as far as money and how the Cardinals kind of pivot off of him. So something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, man. All right. And then I would feel like one of the bigger headlines of the week was a Padres trade with the Marlins.
Yep. So probably the biggest trade of the season so far, in season, at least, not counting, the Corbin Burns trade. Right. But so the Padres traded Luis Arraez, or the Marlins traded Luis Arraez to the Padres. So the Padres sent 4 players. So it was Dylan Head and Jacob Marcy, who are outfielders, Nathan Martola, who is a first baseman, and then a right-handed reliever, Woo-Suk Go. So I still think the Padres come out on top on this trade. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was a name Are the Marlins just a farm system at this point for everybody else? Because that's what it feels like. It feels
It's
like every
starting to
good
feel
player they have is like, when is he going to get traded? You know what I mean? Like, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it does feel that way, and it's I don't remember if it was their VP of baseball operations or their GM, but there was some quote right after the trade went through that he basically said like, yeah, statistically, we're not lined up to probably make the playoffs this year. It's like, dude, it is May 5th or 4th or
Yeah.
3rd or whenever he made that quote, right? Like, I know that they're struggling, but to be giving up in May is telling, and it's frustrating, especially for Marlins fans. And it's frustrating when you give up a guy like Luis Arraez, who's perennially in contention for a batting title. Um, and it feels like the Marlins went for quantity, not quality in the return. Like these guys are not bad prospects, but none of them
Right.
were top 10 in the Padres system. So AJ Preller did it again. I mean, the dude just constantly pulls off these magical deals for the Padres, and
Yeah.
this is no exception.
And I mean, like I said, I'm in South Florida, but it just feels like the goal of the Marlins sometimes is like, can we get this player to start the season hot and then not get injured, so then we can
Yeah,
trade him?
yeah,
So
it's
here we
maybe
are.
it's a product of they're trying to rebuild a farm system that has
Yeah.
been kind of weak for a few years now, but I don't know. It seems like a very strange trade. I feel like they could have gotten more for at least better quality prospects for Luis
Yeah.
Rise later on.
So what Arraez like going forward? Like I mean, we already know he's a good player, even though he's a Marlin. Like, do you expect like some massive jump? Like, how do you look going forward now? Like, obviously, he's a much better situation. So, how much better do you feel like we can expect him to play?
Yeah, I think now he certainly gets a bump in that lineup. I mean, much better lineup, top down, right? And he's going to be in the leadoff spot. He's going to get on base a ton, so he's going to score more runs. If I was betting on like a prop, for example, like I would bet him to score more runs than he started with, whatever his line was at the start of the year.
Right.
So I think Arise is, I'm going to say it. Don't come for me. Like it's shades of Tony Gwynn. So it's like ironic that he is a Padre. I'm not saying he's Tony Gwynn.
That's
Not saying
dangerous territory, man.
I'm not saying that, but it's shades of Tony Gwynn in the sense of how they play ball and how they hit, how they approach at the plate, right? Um, so yeah, I think all in, I don't think you worry about a rise. I think you could maybe, if you're trying to make a trade in your leagues, right? Like
Right.
this is a time you could probably package him with someone to go get a better pitcher or whatever. The hype will be good for him, but I think points league, this is a big boost for him. Good in average and OBP leagues if you're playing categories. So yeah, it's all around a better situation for him, and just arrow trending up.
All right. Arrow trending up for him and for the Padres situation. Arrow pointing down, I guess, for the Marlins, right? You feel like they didn't get a top prospect, so
Yeah, I just don't think we're going to see any of these guys up in the next 2 years. So
right.
that's a long time to wait for your return.
Yeah. All right. Some quick injury hits. I did mention Justin Steele. He's back today, which is pretty exciting. And like you said, you started with confidence in your opinion.
Yep, he's auto lock as far as I'm concerned.
All right, cool. Walker Buehler.
Yep, he's coming back tonight. Coming off Tommy John. So temper expectations. I assume he will be on a pretty strict pitch count. I would guess 75, maybe 80 for the Dodgers, but this is good. They get reinforcements because, like we said, Evan Phillips is on the IL now. So, just approach with cautious optimism.
Absolutely. And then TJ Friedl.
TJ Friedl. Look, the Reds offense has been abysmal the last few weeks. My God, it's been bad, especially considering their pitching has been pretty good. Like we just talked about Nick Lodolo. So yeah, Friedl, I think he's probably slotted right in as the starting center fielder. I don't think they're gonna wait much longer. Would be shocked if he wasn't up starting tomorrow. So I think if he's on your waiver wire, which we'll talk about him in a little bit, but go grab him if you need outfield help. He's an auto lock, I think. Let me say this: he will have far better production than what the Reds have gotten out of their center fielders so far.
That's fair. Yeah, and you're speaking on the Reds and their production right now. Stuff. We even had a question in the comments from last week, not on the show, but in the comments on YouTube. where I think it was Football Mania was the guy's name. Football Mania 3000 said Spencer Steer was dropped, and he feels like, is that insane to us? How impatient or patient are you with situations like this with guys like him or Bo Bichette or any of these guys who are like struggling at the moment where someone gets crazy and drops them? Like, are you surprised by that? And do you immediately jump on that? Or like, where are you when it comes to that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, look, I have a much higher tolerance for like the patience of the longevity of a fantasy baseball season. You're not going to win your league because you drop Spencer Steer for somebody who's on waivers, right?
Right.
This isn't necessarily going to be the league winner that you're looking for. I wouldn't cut him. I don't think we're at that point yet. I would have to. I know he's batting like sub 250, but I think he's had pretty bad luck. I'd have to go look at what his BABIP is. I believe his BABIP is, let's check. So he's had like a 283 BABIP. So he's under the league average. But I don't know. It feels like a little bit of an overreaction, but it also depends who you can pick up, right? 12-team leagues tend to be a little more shallow than a 14 or a 16-team league.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of how I answered it. I just feel like, every fantasy sport is different, right? Like fantasy baseball, though, you have such a long season that you don't want to panic or rush into something necessarily. Like, it's not going to affect you to hold on to a player a little longer, right? A struggling player. Whereas in like fantasy football, you wait too long, you're just basically out of the playoff contention so quickly. Yes. So like, I think you got to keep changing gears. I mean, like depending on, what type of league you're in, what style, like you said, what style it is, those things all matter. Roto, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like with fantasy baseball, you could be a little more patient than some of the other sports.
Yeah, and I would say too with Steer, right? Like in particular, he's walking like more than 10% of the time. His strikeout rate is less than 20%. So like the underlying stuff isn't bad. He's just the Reds as a whole are struggling.
They're struggling,
and so I think I would be much more inclined to bench a guy like Spencer Steer and then plug and play waiver guys as I need to. But yeah, I mean, to each their own. I think it's just a matter of what's your league situation, what's your waiver wire situation, and who can you plug in instead of him.
Yeah. All right, cool. One other injury, Guardians top prospect hurt again, man.
Yeah, man. Okay. So people will argue with me because we're going to talk about Kyle Manzardo in a little bit. I would argue that Chase DeLauder is their top prospect. He's an outfield prospect. He broke his foot over the weekend. And apparently it is the same foot that he broke while he was playing college baseball. I believe James Madison is where he played. So it's just really crappy because he was having a pretty torrid start to his minor league season. So I was fully expecting DeLauder to be up by June and probably starting for this team. And now he's probably not going to have a lost season, but I don't see him getting to the majors this year unless it's like late August, maybe September. So just a bummer if you're on Prospect Watch, if you're watching these guys who he's got great power. He's got a plus speed tool. So just sucks to see a really good player go down for a repeat injury.
Yeah, no, it's definitely never, the way you wanted to do, especially re-injuries. That just sucks. That's, same kind of issue. But you did say there's a call up happening for the Twins, which you're excited about.
Yes, and we'll talk about him in waivers too. I think he's my top pickup. So spoiler alert. But yeah, Kyle Manzardo is getting called up for the Twins to replace, or I'm sorry, for the Guardians to replace Stephen Kwan. So we're excited to see what Kyle Manzardo does. I think that he's he's got that. The problem is he's got like the power. He's the prototypical like first base DH guy, right? So finding space for him in this lineup might be tough right now. But he's got such a great plus tool for power and for hitting that I really like it. And if you need first base help or you need DH help, you need a utility spot, he's a guy.
Absolutely. And another prospect got called up, Christian Scott from my Mets. He actually already played too.
He did. He pitched over the weekend. And we'll talk about him in waivers as well.
Yeah, so we can save it for waivers, right? We can leave a little.
We'll get to that, but Christian Scott looked good.
Yeah.
Wow. And just to give you guys a little teaser, down to AAA Syracuse before he got called up, it was 3-0, 3.2 ERA. The stuff plays up. We'll just, spoiler alert, it plays up.
Yeah. For the Mets, man, like I'm happy about it just because, like, I don't know, man. For me, their pitching staff is just boring, man. Like, they don't get me excited. And so, a young guy coming up gets me a little, happy.
Yeah, they need a little juice to, a little spark. And this will be
all these old wily vets. It's not my thing.
Not a bad thing. Hey, look, Jose Buto would like a word.
Exactly. Jose Abreu optioned to Astros.
Yeah, went to extended spring training. Yeah. Just, look, he was struggling, and this was the time to do it. I don't know if this is a desperation play by the Astros, if they're going to bring it back up, but they owe him $19.5 million just next year alone at the end of his 3-year deal. We'll see what happens. This was the move that they made so La Profito could come up. He's been okay so far. He's, he strikes out. He's going to sit against lefties, but he's a kid, so he's gonna have some growing pains. But yeah, Abreu is a wily vet that got sent down, which is rare to see in this situation.
That's a lot of money owed to him, man. That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
a lot of money. So. What else, man? Any other news?
I think that's it. I won't get on my soapbox about the MLB TV rights. There's news that Roku might get like the Sunday leadoff games instead of Peacock. Let's fix the blackouts and all of that BS before we worry about like who's streaming the first game on Sundays. That's all I'll say there. But maybe I'll go on a wily rant in a blog post in a couple of weeks.
I think that's a good idea.
You guys can rip me apart there too.
I think it's worth a Brian rant, man. Yeah, maybe we'll start a new segment, Brian's rant.
Oh,
we should do that. That'd be actually.
Yeah, the problem is we might get kicked off YouTube if I start anything. We might get deplatformed because if I start, there's going to be some less than savory words flying around.
I got to figure out a way to fit that into the show.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get on the censored button pretty quick. Gonna have to start a time delay.
We're gonna need it. We need that, man. The show needs it. All right, listen. I think we covered all the news, all the unfortunate injuries, the prospect calls, of all that good stuff. Now, the moment that everybody's been waiting for, Brian. It's waiver wire time. Time for the waiver wire.
Waiver wire week 7. So yeah, we kind of spoiled the lead here, but Kyle Manzardo is first up. So like I said, I might even like this like from a pure offense perspective more than the La Profito call up. Like Manzardo is, like I said, he's hitting 305 in AAA. It was like getting laughable that he was still down there.
Yeah.
Because now, I mean, again, there's log jams and stuff, but they had to find a reason to bring him up. And unfortunately, it was the Stephen Kwan injury. So, he's striking out at less than 18%. I love anything for a power hitter like this. Under 22, roughly, is kind of what I look for. So this is good. But he should be rostered. Like, he's coming up. Even if he's only up until somebody is activated from the IL, I don't really care. I'll ride that wave until further notice. So yeah, Kyle Manzardo, if you need first base or DH or utility guy, he's the top priority this week for me.
Number one priority. You heard it here first from Brian. Number one priority.
Very close to the number 2 guy.
Who is riding a crazy wave right now.
Riding a wild wave. So Willi Castro got crazy position eligibility. For the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
So he's hit safely in like 9 or 10 of the last 11 games. I think it was 10 of the last 11. The hitting streak ended on Sunday. Okay, that's fine. But he's absolutely raking right now, and he can play every offensive position except for catcher and first base for the Twins. So this is a guy, like if you just need someone to fill a roster spot, you could do a lot worse than the guy who has 6 position eligibility for you. So, and he's got some pop, he's stealing bases, he's scoring, right? So he's doing a little bit of everything. So Willi Castro for the Twins, ride the hot hand while it's hot.
Yeah. And if you ever see a trend here in the waivers, it's the position versatility that these guys have.
Yes.
Like we love position versatility.
Yeah. Anyone who's got like it's hard to recommend single position guys because of, at this point, you need people who can plug and play multiple spots, which, again, the Kyle Manzardo rec, it was tough to put him above Willi Castro, but I think it's the right thing just as far as, like, expected production.
Right. All right. Well, how about the number 3 man here on our list, Tyler Black?
Tyler Black. So we even, I believe we got some questions last week, after the live stream about
Yeah.
prospects, and Tyler Black was included. So he's a second base, third base for the Brewers. He's probably going to be playing first base and DH for them a lot, but his first game in the majors, he batted cleanup. Okay. So that tells you how the Brewers feel about him. Okay.
Right.
He's a stud. And the Brewers have are just very good at developing talent. They have a sneaky good farm system year after year. I mean, they traded Corbin Burns willingly, got 2 prospects back, and they're you know what I mean. Like they're confident enough in their ability to develop players.
Right.
And Tyler Black's one of those guys. So, ton of pop. There might be some matchup things for Tyler Black, but he's likely going to be playing first base, though he can move across the infield pretty well, second and third. So he's already, like I said, they're already showing faith in him, so he should be rostered everywhere. It's hard, but I'm even going to say, because I'm having a similar dilemma, guys like Tyro Estrada, right? Like I would cut guys like that for Tyler Black. I'll take the flyer at this point.
Okay. I respect that. Yeah, the question that you're referring to from last week was from Empress 4101. He asked us, can we rank the prospects that were recently brought up, which were Loperfido, Black, and Beck?
Yes.
And you put Black at the back end of that, though, right?
I did, and I think I was wrong. And the reason I said that was I didn't see where he was going to play immediately. Like I didn't know where the Brewers were going to slot him in. Loperfido, we saw like there was an immediate need for him, and then Beck, he has the Coors Field advantage, right? So that was the main reason. But I think Tyler Black might be at the top of this now. He's already kind of played himself up there. Yeah, definitely grab him if he's available anywhere in your leagues. And I think he's a nice little sneaky challenges and best ball play in any lineup.
Last guy on the list who made it before the honorable mention cutoff is TJ Friedl. Again, Cincinnati Reds. We spoke about him a couple minutes ago, but again, a high waiver priority to you.
Yes. I even had a conversation with someone this morning of, do you drop Loperfido for Friedl based on your needs? But I think Friedl is great. And like I said, the Reds need production out of their outfield, and he's going to come in. He's going to start immediately. So if he's out there, then you should grab him, especially if you need any semblance of outfield help. I'll take Friedl over a lot of other guys on the waivers.
Gotcha. And then for the honorable mentions, is there any particular couple players you want to mention, or?
I will mention Vaughn Grissom. I've put him in the waiver article several times, but now it looks like I think he was activated over the weekend for the Red Sox, shortstop for the Red Sox. Another one of those highly touted prospects. Believe he started with the Padres, or he either started with the Padres or the Nationals. I don't remember which way it went. It's tough sledding out here. Like a lot of things to remember, but shortstop help. He only plays shortstop, but he might get some run at second base as well. So he's a guy to keep your eye on just from a pure perspective of offensive output. And the Red Sox need guys to do it from the shortstop position since Trevor Story is on the shelf again.
Yeah, and he played good on Sunday, so
he did. So
shout out to Grissom, definitely worth it. And what about I'm just curious so far of what we've seen from Pete Crow Armstrong. Are you happy with it? Are you a little worried? Are you good with it? Like, how are you feeling?
I mean, the outfield play is so smooth. It's hard to you see that and it's really hard to look at anything else. He chases a lot. The dude swings at the first pitch a ton. Mm-hmm. So I like Pete Crow Armstrong. I think he's going to be an absolute menace for years to come. I think he might get sent back down once Bellinger is activated, just to work on how often he's chasing. Yeah. But I'm pretty happy with it. He's a young kid too. So I think the Cubs are happy with what he's doing. And I have a feeling if he does get sent down again, the next call up will probably be permanent.
Gotcha. And then for some prospects, I know we just spoke about a few already, but are there any prospects you're watching this week coming up?
I hope Junior Camarino gets the call for the Rays. He's been mashing for years in the farm system. So I think it's time to bring him up, see what he can do. Again, this is like the Rays are another team where you never know where guys can play because everyone seems to be a utility player. It's the opposite of the Padres because the Padres have like 18 shortstops on the roster that they've just converted, right? And it's the opposite for the Rays. So, yeah, I think Camerino might get the call sooner rather than later. And then Brian Ramos, third baseman for the White Sox, he got the call over the weekend. He's one to keep your eye on. White Sox are going to start bringing up these young guys to see what they've got in the system. So, I love third baseman too. I think it's a hard position to vet, especially for fantasy. So, give these guys a look and see what they do.
Hey, my boy Brett Beatty's been doing pretty good at third.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's good. Look, we talked about him a few weeks ago, man.
Some nice plays out there.
The leather has gotten much better for Brett Beatty, and I think the Mets know it, which is nice. I think they're going to stick with him and let him work it out because he has the capability to do it.
Yeah, and also Camerino, he's like the top 5 prospect in baseball, isn't he?
He is. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
all of baseball.
I know. Yeah. I know he might be number 1 at this point. Like, I don't really know because he's been so high for so long, but it's time. Like, I know like with Jackson Holiday or whatever, right? Like we saw it kind of crash and burn. Camerino, I don't think is going to be that way because he's been in the system a while.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens, man.
But again, another 20-year-old man, you never,
let's again, just throw him in the fire. Worst case, he's got enough options. You can send him back down, but let's stop with the dog and pony show. Let's get these kids who are raking. Let's get them to the show.
I'm with you, man. I'm sure most fans agree. All right, over to the pitchers. We'll start with the Mets. Christian Scott. Again, we just talked about him. He had a pretty damn good game the other day. Yeah. How do you feel, man? Like going forward, you trusting this guy or?
Look, he did it against a really good offense this weekend. He did it against the Rays, and he was sitting like fastball. I think it was fastball changeup or fastball slider most of the game. So he didn't throw his splitter, which is kind of what he's known for. He only threw it, I think, 8 times. So less than 10 of his pitches were the splitter. So he's my top priority for pitching this week. Even if it's a 1-star pitcher this week, like I don't really care. I don't think the Mets are going to send him back down. If they do, I'm sorry. But I think he sticks in the rotation, and he's my top waiver pitcher for this week.
Yeah, I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right because, like I said, I'm tired of the vets on the Mets. They're just not the vets on the Mets. It rhymes.
Yeah, no, but I mean, look, Scott's he's a firecracker, and like he has just absolutely blasted through the system. Like he was kind of on no one's radar, and then over the last 18 months, he just kind of came out of nowhere. So. And guys who do that they're either really, really good and they just stick, or they like are a flash in the pan. I don't think this is a flash in the pan.
Hopefully not, man. Another guy on the list, John Means. Baltimore, surprise.
I mean, what more can I say? It's just the Orioles are just a well-oiled machine. So Means was coming back from Tommy John. So he threw 85 pitches through 7 innings, which I was like, are they gonna let him go? But they didn't. They pulled him after that. 8 strikeouts, no earned runs, gave up 3 hits. Like great start for John Means coming off of Tommy John. And so they get Bradish back last week. They get Means back this week. That lineup, that rotation, anytime you can get a piece of something like that, I highly recommend it. So John Means, if he's available anywhere, please go grab him.
And then a guy who we just spoke about his AAA teammate, Camerino, is also playing well down there. Taj Bradley.
I'm not going to say he's a league winner. I'm not going to say that. But I'm not saying it.
You want to.
I do. I have been on the Taj Bradley trade, like, in Dynasty. I think I've had him for like 3 years. Okay. Like I have been waiting for this to finally happen. No, he has looked excellent in 2 rehab starts in AAA Durham, 15 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 5 innings, then 6 innings. Like, I don't think he needs another rehab start from what I saw, but I'm not a GM, so I would be shocked if he is not up if not this week, next week for sure. So if your league has been sleeping on Taj Bradley, grab him, put him on the back of your bench. I don't know if I'm not going to say he's a top 20 fantasy pitcher, but he's very easily a top 40 guy, in my opinion. So I think there are plenty of streamers that you may have held on to that you could do away with in order to get Bradley in your lineup.
Yeah. And I'm excited to get to use him in challenges and bingo. And come on, bring him up, man.
I don't know many guys I will pick over Taj Bradley. I am so on this train. Like I am
Yep.
going down with the ship, man.
Yep.
Like I am fine with it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I accept it. But
I'm with you, man. We're the Taj Bradley boys, man.
Yeah. I will ride this train into the mouth of hell if I have to, man. That is how confident I am. He's going to be an absolute menace.
Let's go, man. Let's go, Taj. He deserves some air horns on that, man. Come on, man.
We love him. We love
him. So honorable mentions.
Yep. So
who do you got, man? Who you got?
Tyler Anderson's been really great for the Angels, so like definitely get him. And so is Colin Ray for the Brewers. Those guys have been really solid. Definitely, and I think they might both be 2-start pitchers this week. Don't quote me on that, but I know Tyler Anderson is for sure. He's pitching tonight, and I think Colin Ray pitches tomorrow. But don't quote me. But either way, they've both been fantastic. So highly recommend. And then Graham Ashcraft too for the Reds. Like we talked about earlier, their pitching staff has been really solid. So if their pitching staff is this good when the offense is struggling, hopefully if the offense turns it around, that bodes even better for the starting pitchers.
I just double checked. Ray is also a 2-star pitcher this week.
Great. Nailed it. So yeah, love Colin Ray this week then. Like I'm like really into the NL Central this year. Just the Brewers, the Cubs, even the Reds. Like, you know, the Cardinals have been like, okay, the Pirates are fun to watch again. So,
you
know, just I'm very in on most NL Central players.
And you know what would make the Pirates even more fun to watch?
I think I know, Neil. I think I know.
Paul Skeens.
Paul Skeens. Call him up.
The guy, he seems like he's destined for greatness, man.
My goodness, the dude is, it's like comical at this point. I understand. Look, I would kind of like with the Taj Bradley thing. Like, I'm very happy that these teams are taking their time, making sure these guys are stretched out, especially what we saw at the beginning of the year. You know, all the elbow injuries. I would still prefer this, but it's like the Kyle Manzardo thing. It's just comical to see him do this in AAA. I mean, he's carving these dudes up. So,
right.
Let's get him up to the majors. Let's have Paul Skeens in here. And then just one other prospect watch, Mason Black, San Francisco Giants, starting tonight or today. That rotation could be very scary, not even including Blake Snell. If Kyle Harrison, Keaton Wynn, and Mason Black all shake out and they have 3 stud rookie pitchers, Giants might have arguably the best young rotation in the MLB if it sticks.
Mason Black, Zach Wheeler tonight might be a fun challenge.
That would be a fun challenge. I'll be ballsy. I'll take the Black side of that. I'll take Mason Black.
You might have to get that one on the board here at the end.
I'll put my money on Black. This is it's like roulette, but for fantasy baseball.
Let's get this question. We have a question in the comments. Let's do that first. Let's take care of that first. All right, Lieutenant H. I call him Lieutenant H. I don't know what else to call him, but he's always watching the show. He's always dropping comments in the live and on the YouTube video. So shout out to you. He said, trade question for the fellas: Michael Bush, payups, Bello, and draft picks 1 and 2 for Bryce Harper, Christopher Morel, Alex Bregman, and draft picks 18 and 19.
Okay.
Well, lots to digest there.
Yeah. So I guess if you're still in the comments, a couple clarifying questions would be: is this dynasty? Is it keeper? Like, how are you trading these draft picks? Is kind of my question. What's the format there? So in my opinion, Bryce Harper is still the best player in that trade, like by a significant margin. But giving up picks 1 and 2 for Bryce Harper is tough, especially if you're in a dynasty situation, right? Like, he is older. And so I guess it's a question of if you're contending, but if you're contending, I also don't love giving up Bello. So that's kind of where I'm okay. Keeper league. Appreciate that. So yeah, if you could keep Bello, and I would even I would edit this trade. I would par it down a little bit to where you get Bryce Harper. I would give a Bush Piamps and maybe the second for Harper and Morel, just for the flexibility. I love Alex Bregman, but he's a third baseman and he's struggling. So I don't know if I would want to trade for him right now. It feels like you're buying low. Like, I get that, but I don't know if you're winning that trade, so to speak. So whatever you can do, if you can modify this trade where you keep Bello and still get Bryce Harper, that's probably what I would do. Not a perfect question. I know it's not a 1-to-1, but that's a tough one. There's a lot of layers
Yeah, there's a lot going on
to
there.
this trade.
Yeah, but we definitely appreciate it. And of course, I always wonder too when they share these trades with us, is it one that they proposed? Is it one they got proposed? I mean, like, because then it would give us more context. I mean, maybe there's something they really like in the deal and that we're not, sure about they're chasing it, or if they're just offered it.
Yeah.
But again, shout out to Lieutenant H is what I call him. Oh, he put thanks, appreciate it. You're welcome, of course. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining the live show. And of course, and in the comments and stuff on the other episodes and stuff, we really appreciate your support, man. Thank you. All right, now I think we cleared all the questions for real this time. Challenges.
Let's do it.
For real this time, man. All right, let's go ahead and bring up the greatest rival fantasy platform ever. All right, so it was Zach Wheeler right on the screen. First thing, man. So we can scroll through some of these and then create some of our own like we always do. And for those who are not familiar, rivalfantasy.com or download the app in your app store. The best platform for fantasy users out there. There's challenges, which we'll show you right now. And then there's other things like bingo, best ball, which we'll also show you before we wrap up today. But we highly suggest you get out there, check it out. There's a link in the description if you're watching and it's easier that way for you. That's fine. But again, you can just download the app or visit the site, whatever you prefer. All right, let's go ahead. We'll scroll through some of these and just see what's popping on here. Zach Wheeler again.
Dude, get me on that Jack Flaherty side.
Yeah, as I said, that's not too bad right there.
Yeah, I like that. I take Jack Flaherty. I'd throw a 5 spot on Flaherty.
Yeah, let's throw a 5 and see if we can get some others to come behind it and take some more. Let's see. Ooh, 20 on Wheeler. Somebody is really into Wheeler. So the question is are they just really a believer in Wheeler, or are they doubting your boy? Are they doubting your prospects?
I don't think they're doubting Black so much as they're doubting the Giants' offense, which is fair. That's a fair thing to do. But Luis Castillo has been like he's been a stud. So I'd put 5 spot on Castillo. I'm gonna go do it right now too. Honestly, let's
both do it. Whoa, let's both do it, man. Let's both get in the mix on that one.
That's a nice and that's a fun matchup too, right?
Yeah,
like that's a Twins, Giants, like those are good opponents to target right now. I don't see anything coming bad from that.
This person's just trying to bait on my my Met fandom here because Wheeler ex Met Minaya playing decent matchup. Nothing crazy, but
he has been much better than I anticipated. But I don't know if I would. I might throw a buck on Minaya just to get in on it,
just to have fun. That's why I do with my Mets a lot of times, man. Just have some fun.
Because the Cardinals are a good enough matchup.
How about this one,
dude? I'm sorry. I'm going in right now. I'm putting 10 on Justin.
What is going on with all the Wheeler stuff here, man?
Look, Zach Wheeler is right now the best pitcher in baseball. Yeah. I get it. Like anytime you can get action with him, I understand it. But that's why there's value to be had in a lot of these challenges, right?
Right.
Just because Wheeler has a good game doesn't mean somebody won't outscore him fantasy-wise, right? Like if Wheeler gives up 7 hits and 1 earned run to the Giants, that's great. But if Steele goes in against who are they playing?
Padres.
Against the Padres, like Steele can have a good game at home against the Pods. Like I can see this being a very close thing where it's decided by 2 strikeouts and Steele could bounce back very quickly.
Right. And like you said, you could just put 1, 5, 10. You don't have to take the whole 30 or put more than what's on there. So if you're not feeling totally strong about it, but you want to get on the action, you feel like there's room there, jump in on it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, clearly Wheeler is everywhere on here.
Yeah. And it helps too. The Phillies play at 4:05 Eastern, so they have the first game today. So it's Wheeler, going up against the Giants is the first game.
Yeah. So Wheeler, someone is in here just loving themselves some Wheeler. Yeah. My boy Tristan McKenzie.
Yeah, that one I would not take.
Yeah, that's a risky one.
Tristan McKenzie has been he's been getting blown up.
I hate that for him.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Mason Black. This is a good one for you.
Yeah, see, I will definitely go take Mason Black on that one.
Yeah,
Like,
so this screams Brian. This screams Brian right here.
I love putting money on prospects who you have the pedigree. We know, we're starting to see it out of AAA, and when they get the call in this situation, it's usually there's a lot of confidence behind them. So
Yeah. Yeah, again, my guess here is they're like, Mason Black, he's going against Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
First,
but hey, he doesn't have to hit against Zach Wheeler.
Exactly.
Right? Like as long as he doesn't get completely shellacked by Bryce Harper and company, Trey Turner's out of the lineup, so that helps too, right? Like,
yeah.
So you have one less superstar to deal with as a rookie, which is helpful, but you do have to go into Philadelphia. So that's tough.
Looks like everybody's betting against your boy today, man.
No, I get it, man. It's tough to. I'm the weirdo who likes to bet on guys.
Let's create a couple really quick.
Yeah, let's do this. So one I like tonight is Tyler Anderson versus Jack Flaherty.
All right, that's fine.
I like these guys are. Jack Flaherty's been like the hotness lately, but Tyler Anderson's been sneaky good. So I think you could take either side. I would take the Tyler Anderson side, like you have selected.
All right, so we'll do that. We'll put 10 on it.
Yeah.
And I'll also drop this in the chat for those who are watching live, taking advantage of the live feature that you're watching the show live. You deserve to get on the action. So let me drop this in here. While I'm dropping that in there, you can let me know what is your next.
So next one, we are going to do a Mason Black challenge. We're going to do Black versus Walker Buehler. And the reason I do that is it's both their season debuts tonight in the majors. And I think Buehler will be on a pitch count, but there is value to be had on his side. However, I'm still going to take the Mason Black side because I think I don't think he will be on as strict of a pitch count if he's doing well. So
you're taking the Mason Black side, which is interesting. Again, you got the Dodgers against the Marlins. So, this is going to get Dodger fans jumping at this, I think, when you do this one.
I get it, man. Like I am doing this purely because I don't think Buehler will go deeper than 4 2/3.
Right. No, I understand. So this is a good one for our chat as well. So we'll drop that one in there. And then did you have more or just
one more? We're going to do an outfield challenge. We're going to do Joe Adell versus Dylan Carlson.
Okay.
Dylan Carlson's back. I'm trying to believe in some post-hype sleeper magic for him. And then Joe Adell, man, he's been really good the last few weeks.
Who's the other one? Adell and who?
Dylan Carlson.
Dylan Carlson. There we go. All right.
So but I'm going to take the Joe Adell side. That's
smart, man. Don't ever go against Minaya over here, buddy.
Yeah. But I do think this is, the Cardinals need some magic out of their outfield too. So hopefully Dylan Carlson can provide that post-type sleeper spark.
Absolutely. Drop that one in the chat as well. All three of these challenges that Brian just came out with are in the chat for those who want to take it before they hit the good old streets of X. The streets of X.
Those wild streets.
The wild streets of X. All right, cool. So they got us a little challenges action. Now it's only right that we jump over to some bingo. Bingo. All right. Let's get some bingo going.
Yeah.
Bingo. I didn't win last week, unfortunately.
I did not win last week either. I had a bad week. It was tough sledding out here.
Tough in these bingo streets sometimes.
Tough in these bingo streets.
Somebody keeps winning. I mean, the money keeps dropping and going back up. Yep. So someone's winning, but it ain't
people are winning.
Yeah. But, all right. Do you have some, personal choices that you want to get in here?
Yeah. So I like Simeon Woods Richardson today against.
You mentioned him last week.
I mentioned him last week in waivers. He's looked pretty solid.
He's pitching today.
Tonight against the Mariners, but he is pitching at home. So I like that. And I think he's going to have a good day. We got to get Justin Steele in there. Like I'm just got to get the boy, the man, the myth, the legend. And then this one is an iffy play. I'm doing this more to try to capitalize on some negative achievements in bingo. Alex Wood, pitcher for the Oakland Athletics, playing against the Rangers tonight.
Not mad at it. He's going against an 0-4 pitcher, so I ain't mad at it either.
Yeah, so there's value to be had there, especially in challenges and in best ball too.
Yeah.
So,
All right, and we need 2 infielders. Do you want to go for the recently traded, or are they playing Miami? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think.
What? No, there's
Wait,
no
no,
way.
they're not. They're the Padres are playing the. Who are the Padres playing?
The Cubs,
They're playing
right?
the
Yes.
Dodgers. They're playing the Dodgers. So the trade threw off the game log, so it hasn't updated to reflect that he's a
Gotcha.
Padre yet.
That's
so
what it is. Okay.
maybe we steer clear of Arraez just for that reason alone.
Yeah, it's an omen.
Yeah,
to stay away.
But I think we can. We talked about him in the trade conversation. I think Bryce Harper is a great pick today. This is kind of hedging the bets against Mason Black, right? Like Harper is probably going to eat him alive. That's just what Bryce Harper does.
Look at you hedging against yourself.
Yep, that's it. That's what we do around here, man. We hedge to hedge.
So, absolutely.
And then I think rival of the week himself, Christopher Morel, because in our system, he is a third baseman. So I think we get a little Chris Morel action today.
All right, cool. Then we need 2 outfielders.
2 outfielders. Who do you like today, Neil? Like I'm just monopolizing.
Let me think here. I don't have anyone off the top of my head necessarily. We could get Joe Adell in there just so we have him on our bingo card.
I mean, is it too ballsy to do Joe Adell and Taylor Ward and go 2 Angels out, 2 Angels in the outfield?
Damn it. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a terrible idea.
Against
I mean, they're going against Mitch Keller. He gets
Mitch Keller is what? Is he 0-4? Like something ridiculous? Like he's got
like 3 losses. I think he has a couple wins, but his ERA is kind of high. It's above 5.
Yeah.
I mean, try to beat him up. Let's try to beat him up.
Or we could get Mark Canha in there too. I think Mark Canha has been.
We can put him in. Let's put Canha in a utility.
I like Canha as a utility option today.
What did I do? I'm over here just selecting guys. Okay, let's give him a utility. I actually felt when the Mets had him and they traded him, I kind of felt bad for him. He seemed pretty emotional about it.
Yeah, he liked being in New York. I think he was a big fan of what the Mets.
So I like him. I've seen some emotion out of the guy. I like that. And one more guy.
Let's go with a catcher. Let's get William Contreras in there.
Okay, you want to throw a catcher in the mix? I don't want to get crazy.
I love catchers. I love catchers that rake. So
you said William, right?
Yes. Right. Yeah, not Wilson. Boo Wilson. I'm just kidding. I like him, but his brother's better. So.
We'll do 5 cards. We'll see if you win. If we win, I'm not splitting any money with you.
That's fair. That's okay.
All right, so we have that in the bag. And then let's knock out really quick the best ball draft, good sir.
Love it. Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. All right. We'll just do a 2-teamer quickly.
Do it. $3
we can try to join these other ones, but I don't want to wait around.
Yeah, it's good.
What do you want to do? 5, 3, 10? How crazy?
$5 2-teamer. Let's do
$5. Okay.
Get in here. We'll set up the queue. It's again, right? We're looking at we got in under the wire. We have a game that does start at 2. And we're one pitcher, right? So we have a lot of options today that we talked about. Cole Reagans is pitching. We haven't talked about him.
You pick first today. You pick first today. I like that.
I do, which this is. There's a lot of different ways I could go, right?
Yep.
Do I take my pitcher first, as we've talked about, and kind of capitalize on that, or do I wait and then see where you go? And
the last few best ball drafts you've had, I've gone first, so I'm glad to see you going first.
It's nice to be able to go first for once.
Yeah, I want to see which way you go. If you go for an ace, if you go for a pitcher that you like, or if there's just some guy that you're all I feel there's something you really want. I want to see what you do.
Yeah, and today's it's an interesting day because not every team is playing, but there are some interesting games on the slate. So yeah, a lot of different matchups that I like. Like you said at the top, too, the Dodgers have a very nice matchup against the Miami Marlins this evening. The Marlins, again, I'm not saying this to just beat a dead horse, but they seem like they're defeated. Like it just feels like they have kind of given up on a lot of stuff right now.
I agree.
So you kind of wonder, are they going to move on from guys like Jazz and Brian De La Cruz? Like what does it look like for them to? What's their next step?
Yeah.
But I think the Dodgers are going to capitalize on that big tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, man. Buehler.
And too, I think in a best ball situation, when you have guys like that, like Mason Black, right? You're kind of hedging because you only need one pitcher. It's like, okay, do I go for that massive upside for a guy who could go 7 1/3 and like have 10 strikeouts, or do I hedge, take the guy who's going to be good for like 4 to 5 innings, and he's going to get his points, and then you try to capitalize with upside in the rest of your lineup.
Yeah.
So I think there's a different strategy to take with daily drafts for sure.
And when you look at today, I mean, some days there's not necessarily a pitcher that you're like all in on. You know what I mean? Like where it's like clear. Like sometimes I have pitchers where I'm like, he's clear above and beyond for me, like the other guys that I want. And so I'm just going to take him. Then sometimes there's like, well, there's 2, 3, 4, or 5 guys. I don't really mind if I get a pitcher. So then I don't mind just waiting to the end. You know what I mean? Exactly. So it really depends on, I feel like, who's pitching, who they're playing against, that kind of stuff that really determines whether I jump out at a pitcher or if I wait. And then again, like you said, you go first. If you take a pitcher, then I necessarily don't have to take one, so I could just wait. So it really just depends on those 2 things for me, probably.
Yeah, no, and that's the beauty of daily versus weekly versus season long, right? Like it's a different beast every time you don't jump into a draft. So
right.
And again, we talked about it kind of ad nauseum, but it's there's the question too of, okay, yeah, well, I just lost my train of thought because I was looking at the queue, but I guess you asked the question of are pitchers as important for your dailies because you only need one, or
right?
And then you're looking at different slates, then you can, but you have so many guys in the slate that it's a wealth of riches that is not known in many fantasy baseball formats otherwise.
Yeah. And there could be some people who say, hey, I only need one pitcher. It's not that important. But you could also look at the other way around. Like that pitcher is going to matter a great deal.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You get one shot on it, and that's
it. So. Yeah.
All right. So we're starting, jumping off. This is tough, but I'm going to go with the chalk, and I'm going to take Mookie up first, just with that matchup. I like it a lot.
I am mad at it. I think it's a common maneuver to take. I might go. I'm kind of a little all over the place here. I think I'm actually gonna go Bobby, one of our rivals of the week. And then I might take my second infielder. I don't feel like I need to fight with you for him, but I might wait because of that reason.
Okay.
Yeah, so I might actually go a different route. Man, I don't know. Kind of like,
because now we're at the point. It's like there's too many options, right? For daily.
Yeah. Or I could just go get my pitcher right now and beat you to the punch on my back-to-back pitchers. I mean, back-to-back picks. I think I will.
Can you grab a pitcher now? Exactly. Yeah. See, if you didn't take him, I was going to take Wheeler. But see, now I have options because Neil has taken his pitcher, so I don't have to worry. I can wait as long as I like. So I think what I'm going to do today, just looking at the matchups, Kyle Gibson starting for the Cardinals. The Mets are going into St. Louis. I like that matchup, so I'm going to take Pete Alonso here.
Okay. I'm not mad.
I think he might hit a long ball today. I like the potential. And then I'm going to go in actually on a guy that we have talked about in a not super positive light, but he's been mashing. I'm going to take Brian De La Cruz for the Marlins tonight in that Dodgers game.
All right. You took one of my Mets. I am going to take a Met. So you took one of them, but I don't feel like you're going to go for any more. So I don't really have to worry about that necessarily.
Hard to say. Who knows?
Oh, you might try to get me, but I don't know if you will. Let me see something really quick. We did talk. I like to get some players that we talked about today in the mix. So I kind of. Well, I'm just gonna get crazy here, man.
Where are you going?
Oh no, he's not. I'm in the category.
Uh-oh. Brent Rooker. All right.
Let's back up the talk. You know what I mean? Like
if
we're gonna
hey, put our money where our mouth is, man. That's what we do here at Rival Fantasy. And then you got to get Frankie, of course.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
So I feel like, but with Rooker, I feel like he's in a good spot, man. He's playing against a pitcher who hasn't won a game yet.
No, it is actually pretty nice matchup for them. Okay, so now I got back to backs again. I'm gonna pick a guy who is in another matchup that I really like. The Tigers are playing the Guardians tonight. Tristan McKenzie has been getting kind of lit up. So I'm going to grab my second outfielder here. And I'm going to go with Riley Green. And now it's a question of, okay, who do I want in my utility? This guy's starting to heat up. I'm really, really liking what I saw, especially over the weekend against the who did they play? I don't even remember. The Angels. But I'm going to take J-Ram for my my utility spot.
It's about time he's heating up, man. It's about time.
About time. We love to see it. We love when J-Ram gets hot. We really do.
It's about time, man. It's about time. Who do I want to go for next? I've been looking at a few players here. I need outfielders, though. I got only outfielders left, man.
Yep. And it is important if you don't get outfielders, you can draft non-outfielders, but you will not get credit for them. So
this is a fact. All right. I'm going to go. Stop trying to scare me. Stop trying to scare me. He gets a T. It's trying to scare me. It's trying to rush me. It's okay.
Good. You need a little bit, man. You need a little
you need that pressure. I might go Randy, actually.
Yeah,
let's go Randy.
Randy's heating up too. He's finally starting to find that power swing, which is good.
So, the only guy I'm not super confident here is with Tatis because he's going against Steele, but I feel like his first game back, maybe Tatis could take advantage of it.
See, now I'm in between a rock and a hard place, right? I have two pitchers that I really like today that don't have great matchups. And then there are some other pitchers that, have better matchups, but they're not as good as these guys. So I'm between Justin Steele, Cole Reagans. Do I want to go Cole Reagans at home? Justin Steele at home? But I'm going to back up the top. And this is no exception.
You did it. You know what I noticed? Neither one of us picked Shohei.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
I was gonna take him.
So dumb, but it's just like it's so chalky. I'm like, let's mix it up because I took Mookie, right, which is almost just as chalky. But we're obviously take Shohei. I know we're doing this to get some diversity in our lineups, see what other guys are doing, right, and then Shohei has to be your utility spot because he's a DH only. So
exactly, and that's why
he does limit you.
When I took Rooker, it took me out of the spot for Shohei, so I couldn't do it. So I didn't want to mention him just in case it, sparked your interest. So I left his name out.
Now I wanted to try different guys, get some different lineup constructions tonight and see where I land.
For sure. Absolutely. That was a good draft, man. That was a good draft. We shook it up a little bit. Did things a little differently. You know what I mean?
And that's the beauty of the two teamers. You can experiment with however you want your lineup to look.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, we covered everything. Rivals of the week, injuries, news, headlines, 2-start pitchers, waivers, even challenges, best ball, and bingo. We did it all.
We did it all.
All the questions. We did everything, man. We got everything covered.
Do it
all.
Is
there
here.
Anything that you left on the table, Brian?
No, man. Just looking forward to another great week of baseball per usual. Waiver wire and 2-start pitcher articles will be up shortly. Probably won't be up before the Phillies and Giants game, but they will be up shortly thereafter, I think.
Sweet. All right. Well, then we appreciate everyone's support again, as always. Keep subscribing. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Listen, like 90% of the people who watch aren't subscribed, Ryan. What's going on here? What's going on? Just subscribe, guys. Subscribe. Like this episode.
Just give a little click.
If you want more content from us, you can also follow on socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at Rival Fantasy. Go download the app. Go to the website, rivalfantasy.com. show us some love, play the games, have some fun. We'll see you there. And Brian, we are out.